All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the show. Today is Thursday, July 28th, 2022, and you are now watching Permission to Exist. I'm your host, Permission to Exist, also known as PTE, and it is so good to be back. As some of you know, I did do a show on my other channel last night, A Deeper PTE, called the 32-hour cycle. So in that show, I get into my very unusual sleeping pattern, and we basically attempt to self-diagnose me. And I think I figured out what's wrong. So check it out if you have an opportunity, or when you have an opportunity. It is over there. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Good to see you. Good to be back. Certainly didn't mean to keep you guys hanging for so long, but as I went into last night, it's just been a year, okay? 2022 has been quite the year for me. So one day I'll tell you guys all about it, and that is a promise. But until then, I want to thank everyone who supports the channel in any meaningful way, be that Patreon, Cash App, Super Chatting, liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing the videos. I really appreciate you guys. It really does help, especially considering how YouTube doesn't always push out notifications. So if you do want to be notified personally by me, there is a mailing list, and the link to that mailing list is in the description box. So you can sign up yourself, and I will only email you when I'm going live. I don't spam because I don't have time to spam. I don't know who does, but promises that I won't spam you, and I also won't sell your information. So you can sign up for that mailing list to be notified every time I go live on Permission to Exist. So welcome, everyone. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys are all doing well. I agree. The chat says, yet, hi PTE. Yes, 2022 has been a mess of a year so far, hasn't it? My goodness. Best of times and worst of times for me personally. So, yeah. But tonight, we are going to be discussing a topic that many of you voted for on the community tab when I made that post. And that is going to be the topic of introvert shaming. Now, this is not a title or a name that I made up. I'm going to show you where I got it from here in a second. But I thought it was so relevant and so important for us to discuss, especially in times like these where it seems like everyone is fighting for their right to be themselves in one way or another. And really, that's kind of what my channel name means: permission to exist, permission to be yourself, permission to be left alone for the love of God kind of situation. And I've said this before, and we'll talk about it again tonight, but it seems that society has reached a place where we now accept you for pretty much anything that you are and anything that you want to be except yourself. Meaning, and in particular, if you happen to be an introverted person, that seems to be the final frontier, the last thing that society simply cannot tolerate, simply will not stomach. They'll stomach everything else. They will tolerate everything else. But if you are an introvert, in particular in the workplace, you are going to be harassed to no end. Okay. So we're going to address that tonight. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Let me get this pulled up here. And we're going to go ahead and discuss this concept of introvert shaming. So this is where I actually got that title from, or the concept from. It was an article that came out in Psychology Today, published June 21st, 2022. And the title of that article is 3 Signs That You've Been Introvert Shamed. Do you feel like an introvert living in an extrovert's world? So I actually thought this article was really good. We're going to look at it together, and then I'm just going to share some thoughts that I have regarding this topic and read a couple of your comments, and then we'll get out of here. So good to have you all. Grab a drink, sit back, and let's talk about the concept of introvert shaming. 3 signs you've been introvert shamed. Do you feel like an introvert living in an extrovert's world? My whole life, I felt bad about myself. People asked, "Why are you so quiet? Why don't you speak up? Why do you spend so much time alone?" Derek sighed as he spoke to his weekly therapy group. My friends said I was boring. My parents called me unmotivated. And if there is an unattractive adjective for a quiet person, I was called it. Derek isn't alone. Introverts often are judged and made to feel ashamed for avoiding the spotlight. Choosing small gatherings or quiet nights over parties shouldn't make anyone feel like a freak. Yet, that's just how introverts are made to feel. Derek continued, being an introvert in an extrovert's world is unfair. Why do people have to be so mean? Because they're narcissists, Derek. That's why. Introverts and extroverts. Unfortunately, the common thinking about introverts and extroverts is overly simplified. Introverts prefer time alone, find pleasure in quiet self reflection, and are overwhelmed by large social gatherings. Extroverts despise alone time, avoid self reflection, and constantly seek social contact for distraction and recharging. The truth is, many of us exhibit qualities of both. There are times we feel outgoing and enjoy social contact, choose to seclude ourselves, and enjoy being alone. In a perfect world, we would toss aside negative judgments and accept that all people are unique and express ourselves differently. So, why does the introvert remain a social punching bag? The shaming of introverts. Before we consider why introverts are targeted, here are three signs you've been introvert shamed by others. One, you were bullied or mocked for being quiet or shy. Two, you were guilted into participating in social gatherings. And three, you blame yourself for being awkward and different. The pressure put on introverts to change their behavior always backfires. In fact, the pressure only succeeds in causing increased social anxiety. So, why mistreat introverts? Frequently, extroverts wield social power and crave validation and attention. To them, introverts are downright bizarre. They have such contrasting values. For example, the introvert doesn't seek attention, doesn't crave social validation, and is comfortable being alone, qualities that extroverts find bewildering. So, what's going on behind the impulse to target an introvert? Here are some possibilities. People may feel threatened by the introvert's quietness, insecure about their own intelligence, rejected or ignored by the introvert, powerful knowing that the introvert won't fight back, or anxious and uneasy when unvalidated. The power of introverts. The article, The Surprising Benefits of Being an Introvert, outlines some very positive qualities that introverts possess. Here's a sample of the benefits of being an introvert that the article highlights. Introverts tend to be good listeners. They are more thoughtful about what they say. They're comfortable observing others. They're good friends, loving romantic partners, mindful networkers, and compassionate leaders. As Derek shared his feelings with his therapy group about being an introvert, other introverts spoke up and shared their feelings as well. By breaking their silence, they felt less isolated and formed a healing bond. They began to celebrate the positive qualities of introverts and put to rest the idea that there is a universal standard for social interaction. Okay? So that is the entire article. I will link it for you once the show has concluded. I'll put it probably in the top comment. Okay? I thought this was so interesting. One, because I'd never actually heard this concept before, and I think it's very appropriately named. And I think it's more widespread than people realize. Again, in particular in the workplace, but those of you who have very large families have probably experienced this, or very large friend circles have probably experienced this, or if you were part of like a large friend circle at some point in time in the past, and then you just kind of either grew out of it or you changed, then you probably go through this because they want to know what happened, where did you go kind of situation. And so I think it needs to be talked about and it needs to be addressed because, again, we're living in a time where it seems that everyone is fighting for their right to be heard, acknowledged, and really accepted for who they are. And I think we're making some progress. I don't know how much, but some progress in certain areas. But in other areas like this one, like the realm of the mind, it's like you are still not allowed to have your own mind, your own thoughts, and your own way of being. And I think that is so interesting, and we're going to talk about it. So I tried to make a poem, y'all, and I couldn't find enough words to rhyme with us. So it's not a poem, but I'm just going to read what I wrote out earlier. I wrote, "You can be whoever you want to be, but you must be with us. You can be gay, you can be straight, you can change your gender, you can love whoever you want, you can marry whoever you want. We accept your race, we accept your culture, we accept your ethnicity. You can be fat, skinny, in shape or out of shape. You can be pretty or ugly. You can be smart or stupid. You can be anything that you want to be, but you must be with us." And I feel like that is kind of the essence of what we're dealing with. And a lot of that, in my opinion, has to do with the outward expressions of a person, how you look, who you date, what different belief systems you practice, what religion you practice. You're free to be all of those things, all of those things, but you have to be with us though. That's the number one requirement to live in today's society. You must be with the group though. We don't care if you color your hair green, if you have 3 different domestic partners that you live with. We don't care what kind of pet you have anymore, as long as you're part of the group. Chat says, "But reclaiming your mind is heresy." Absolutely. To be someone who thinks independently or thinks differently than the group or likes to spend time with themselves and no one else, that's a no-no. That's taboo. So essentially they are shaming the introvert for being an introvert. So to me, then, it really comes as no surprise that society has so much trouble accepting other people when they won't even let you have quiet contemplation to yourself. You're not even allowed to just turn inward quietly and be to yourself. Like, that's a huge no no. So, is it any wonder then that people have trouble accepting all the other things about you when you're not even allowed to have your own thoughts and your own quiet time? Because to me, that's where it starts. To me, that's step one. Step one is what goes on in your mind, and you don't seem to be entitled to that anymore. What goes on in your mind belongs to us. It belongs to the group. I think this is one of the dangers of social media. And I think it's something that has happened beneath our awareness, but people share pretty much all of their innermost thoughts all the time, all day long. And that's become normal. So when someone doesn't, all of a sudden, there's a fear there and an uncertainty around why this person won't tell us everything, basically. So there was a specific part of this article that I wanted to focus on, and it's this one down here. It says, "So what's going on behind the impulse to target an introvert? Here are some possibilities. They are threatened by the introvert's quietness, insecure about their own intelligence," which cracks me up for whatever reason. They feel rejected or ignored by the introvert. They feel powerful knowing that the introvert won't fight back, or anxious and uneasy when unvalidated. And to me, this is the narcissism part. There's many parts of this that scream narcissism, but all of these to me is where the narcissism comes in. Because first of all, why are you threatened because someone else is quiet? Like you feel threatened by that, or insecure about your own intelligence, which to me means they must think that quiet people are smart. Like the way I operate in this world, I truly just try to let people be, honey. I let people be. Like if they're quiet, they're quiet, you know? Like, oh, that's fill in the blank. He's kind of quiet or she's kind of quiet. And that's just how they are. That's who they are. And I don't try to change it. I don't try to mold it, bend it, reshape it. That's just who they are. Like, this is why, just a sidebar, I feel like having pets is so important because pets teach you how to accept a being for who they are. And those of you who've had more than one pet know this to be true more than anyone else. Like you'll tell people, oh, this is my dog, Spot, and he's kind of mean. So, don't get too close to his face. And you just accept it. Like you accept he's kind of mean. And you take it for what it is. And you don't try to change it. Or you'll say, this is my dog, Dottie. I don't know. And she's a bit of a diva. But don't you still love her for who she is, though? This one over here, he's kind of mean. This one over here, she's kind of a diva. Some of you know that, your dogs or cats or whatever may not be the smartest tool in the shed, may not be the sharpest tool in the shed. And you accept that for who they are. They're a little dumb and you're okay with it, though. You still love them. So, see, in the chat says, my cat Lucy is sweet and quiet. And you just kind of accept that. You know what I mean? Like, one of my cats is very high strung. She probably needs anxiety medication. My other one is so chill. Like, I feel like the sky could be falling and she would still just be sitting there with her paws folded. Like, yes, indeed, the sky is falling. Like, it wouldn't faze her. And my puppy is the cutest, funniest little nut. She's a nutcase. And I accept all three of them for who they are. I got a nutcase, a super chill Zen master, and a high strung psychopath, really, to be honest with you. And that's who they are. Exactly. Chat says, like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, they just accepted him for exactly who he was. Like they did not try to reshape his personality, they accepted him. So, somewhere along the lines here, as a society, we've gotten into the habit of seeing people for who they are and then trying to mold them into what we want them to be. And that's a huge problem. As the article said, it always backfires. Thank you Thank you so much. Spectacular, rich, beauty, and brilliance. I appreciate the super chat. Says introverts are misunderstood. We simply like to just be without judgment and summons. Come on, somebody with the summons. I felt that. Like, and people just they can't take it, you guys. It drives them nuts. It drives them nuts. So thank you so much, Spectacular. I appreciate it. I appreciate your support of the channel. So this third one on the list really spoke to me and what I felt like I've personally gone through, in particular in the workplace. And that is they feel rejected or ignored by the introvert. And I think with me, it's a rejection issue. They feel like I have rejected them because I'm not all up in their face. And I believe I know this to be fact. I can't prove it, but I promise you this is what it is. They feel rejected by me. And I'm like, girl or boy, I'm not thinking about you. That's what you need to understand. Y'all know that song. I don't know who the artist is, but it says, "You're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. You're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. Don't you? Don't you?" Like, because I'm over here in my own world, in my own head, focused on whatever it is I'm working on, you feel rejected. This song is not about you. I'm probably thinking about what I'm going to have for lunch, what I need to do when I get off work, or when my next nap is going to be. One of those three things. Carly, is it Carly Simon or Carly Simmons? One or the other? Carly Simon? Like, what a perfect song. I wish copyright wasn't an issue. That would have been the perfect song to play right now. I'm not rejected. I'm not thinking about you. That's the thing. And I think it's a huge problem for people who honestly think the song is about them and that whatever is going on in the room is directly related to them. So if I'm talking to them, that's about them. If I'm not talking to them, that's about them. They feel rejected. And I know this to be true because in the past, I've heard people say things to me like, I didn't think you liked me at all. And I'm thinking to myself, why wouldn't I like you? Have you given me a reason to not like you? Carly Simon, okay. Have you given me a reason to not like you? Should I not like you? Like, this is probably really bad, but most people start off with like a letter grade of A with me. You have to earn your way to F. You really do. Whereas some people start off, everyone has an F. You have to earn your way to A. With me, you pretty much start off with an A. You got to earn your way to F. So if you haven't done anything to earn your way to F, why would you think I didn't like you? And it occurred to me after reading this article, they feel rejected and ignored by you because you're not in their face 24/7. Or the opposite can also happen where if they feel rejected or ignored, they'll do things to get my attention. Now I'm starting to dislike you. You see what I'm saying? Whereas before I wasn't thinking about you at all, which is I consider to be a good thing. If I'm not thinking about you, that's a good thing. That means you haven't done anything to upset me, make me happy. It's a very neutral relationship, which I think is positive. Everything doesn't have to be on 10 all the time. We're neutral. We're coworkers. We work together. I'm fine with you. Hopefully you're fine with me. And, so be it. It's a neutral relationship, but they cannot stand that neutrality. They want it to be something. They want your attention. They need that supply. So when they feel rejected or ignored, they start to do things to actually get my attention and basically get under my skin. And it typically works. I hate that it works, but it does. Now I don't like you. You see how self-fulfilling prophecies work? Because that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Here's this person. She's new or whatever. And she's an introvert, but I, am so, one track mind and narrow minded. I can't entertain the possibility that she's just kind of introverted. She's not very much of an extrovert, but I'm going to take it personal and make it mine and say, well, she doesn't like me or she has rejected me as a person. So now I'm going to start to do things to get her attention. Now I'm getting on her nerves. Now she really doesn't like me. See how that works? Absolutely. The chat says toddler behavior. Absolutely. And I've dealt with this with a neighbor. I would almost say not all of them, not all my neighbors, but one in particular, like I'm seriously strongly like looking at other places to live just to get away from this girl. She gets on my nerves. She's driving me absolutely insane because she is trying to force a relationship and I just don't want it. I don't, because this is the one who asked me, do you babysit the very first day that I met her? That one. This chick I know is driven by some demonic force because she has found the most creative ways to get on my nerves, like ways that you can't even plan for. And you can't plan a defense because you would never think of something like that. Just little things. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get away from this girl. Like she's giving me fatal attraction vibes. Fatal attraction. I'm like, I don't want this friendship. Like, I just want to be neutral neighbors. That's it. I just want to be neutral. A little wave when you see him in the morning. Hey, how you doing? All right now. How you doing? Okay. Keep it pushing. If Amazon puts the wrong package on my doorstep, I'll just walk it over, put it on your doorstep, keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? Like if I see something suspicious or something, sketchy, hey, I'll let you know next time I see you. Hey, I saw something sketchy going on. But that's it. Like that's the extent of the relationship that I want. She wants so much more. And no, I don't believe she identifies as a lesbian. So I don't think it's a romantic attraction thing. It's a fatal attraction thing. And I think it has everything to do with this whole feeling rejected or ignored. Like, girl, can I please just be in my bubble? Like, my whole philosophy has always been, I don't bother you. Please don't bother me. Like, what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? So, that one right there really stood out to me. Feeling rejected or feeling ignored by the I was going to say by the narc by the introvert. Then, you have the powerful knowing that the introvert won't fight back. So a lot of introverts won't fight back. I will, but that's only after you've really gotten under my skin. Like, you've really, really, truly irritated me, is when I'll start to push back. But other words, I just go right back to my bubble. Like, what's wrong with this person? Why won't they go away? Why won't they leave me alone? Chat says neutral neighbors is good. Trust your intuition, PTE. Oh, absolutely. Something, there's a few screws loose with that one. And I'm just trying to get away from this shit. And she has a man, y'all. That's what I don't get. She actually has a man, a full-time man, not a part-time man, a full-time man. That's why I'm like, why won't you focus this energy on him? Like, please leave me alone, girl. Please. But I think what happens is, so you know how in the past we talked about how it seems like they sniff you out immediately. As soon as you walk into a room, sometimes these narcs like latch onto you. It might have a lot to do. Some people say it's because the light that you're emanating and all this and that, but it might have a lot to do with this introversion thing. It's almost like why doesn't she see me? Why isn't she interested in me? Why isn't she entertained by me? And what can I do to make all of those things a reality? It's the same thing that happens when people ignore cats. So I think this is hilarious. I'm sure they don't. But if you put two people in a room, one person who likes cats and one person who does not, and there are some cats in the room, the cats will inevitably find their way to the person who doesn't like them. And I think it is the funniest thing on planet Earth. Again, I'm sure they don't think it's funny, but I think it's teaching a very powerful lesson, though. I think there's a lot to be learned from that. Why do the cats go to the one that doesn't like them versus the one that does? I think it's because the cat can see, hey, this person is ignoring me. This person doesn't want anything to do with me. Well, let me see if I can change that. And they'll go rub up on their leg. Chat says, PTE, she just wants to be your friend. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh my God. Like, wow. When I do finally move, I'll tell you all about that one. God, what a psychopath. Why me, Lord? Why me? And then the next one on this part is anxious and uneasy when unvalidated. So again, I do think that this is where some of the narcissism comes in as well. These people need constant reassurance, constant validation from everybody in the room. And if they can see someone is not studying them, which is a Southern term that I'm sure some of you are not familiar with. I don't even know how to spell it. When they can see someone's not studying them, man. I ain't studying you. Hey, Brandon, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Good to see you. Welcome. Welcome back. I appreciate your support of the channel very much. Very much. Thank you so much. It says extroverts want treats. Yeah, they want treats. Scooby snacks. Girl, if you don't get out my face with these Scooby snacks. But when they can see you're not studying them, which basically means you're not thinking about them, like you're not, here's the best way I could describe it. Imagine you are some super famous celebrity. You got millions of followers on Instagram, Twitter, wherever, YouTube, wherever. You would easily be recognized by most people wherever you go, right? Because you're a super famous celebrity, social media star, whatever. And you walk into a room and there's somebody there who's never seen you before, never seen you, never heard of you. Imagine how that person would interact with this super famous, super important celebrity. They would probably treat them like a regular person because to them, they are a regular person. And imagine what that does to at least the narcissistic celebrity. Like, like, don't you don't know who I am? You don't recognize me? Like, I have, like, millions of followers on Instagram. You don't recognize me? And the person will probably just be standing there like, No. Who are you?" You know what I mean? That's how I believe it makes these people feel, because possibly, potentially, in their head, they are super famous celebrities. So the fact that you're not admiring them and kowtowing to them like most people do really bothers them. You Chat says, "I used to work at BET, didn't know any of those celebrities. It made them so mad. I got cursed out several times. I won't name names." I believe it. I believe it. I believe it 100%, because when is that how you spell it? Studden? Not studying. I'm not studying you, girl. Like, I believe it, Jasmine, because I wouldn't recognize half of these people, honey. Like, I am sure I've come across social media stars, famous people, and looked them right in their face and was just kind of like, hi, human. Hey, human being. You know what I mean? Didn't ask for an autograph, didn't fan out, nothing, because I didn't know. You know what I mean? And I'm sure some of them actually appreciate that. They appreciate the lack of recognition, but I guarantee you there are others who would be really, really bothered by that. Really bothered. Like, don't you know who I am? And it's kind of like, nah, no. Do you have a business card? Like, who are you, baby? Can I find you? Can I Google your name? Like, who are you? And then even after finding out, if it doesn't have any personal connection to like something that you know or are interested in, it still wouldn't register. So, for example, soccer is huge in most parts of the world, just not really in America. Like, I know we have American soccer teams. In other parts of the world, they call it football. I can meet some of these, and they go nuts over these championships. Like, people riot in the streets over these championships. Honey, I can meet some of these soccer stars, and probably what I'd be thinking is, wow, he's tall. Whoo, he's tall. What's your name? You got a girlfriend? Hmm? That's gonna be my line of thought. Like, wow, you're kind of tall. A little lean. A little lean. You got a girlfriend, wife? What's up? That's probably going to be my line of thinking, not, oh my God, oh my God, God, oh my God, I just met fill in the blank. Because I don't know. So I think they feel the same way. These modern everyday narcissists feel the same way. Like, they feel important and special. And you know what I mean? Like, you are supposed to be excited about them. And when you're not, it's just kind of like want. It reminds them that they're human beings still, no matter how many followers you have, no matter how rich you are. You're still a human being at the end of the day. You know what I bet the worst is for them, though, and then we'll move off of this topic. When people look at them and go, God, you look familiar. Did we go to school together? They're probably standing there going, I got to fire my marketing team. If someone looks at you and goes, you look so familiar to me. Did we go to school together? Where are you from? So I'm sure it happens all the time. And again, I imagine that there are some stars who are grateful when people don't recognize them. Like, thank God, I get to pretend to be normal today. And others who are completely offended when you don't know who they are, completely offended. So, yeah. But anyway, they need that constant validation. This is where I feel like the narcissism comes in. But let me show you where else I felt like it came in. It was up here. It was up a little bit higher. Well, obviously, if someone's bullying and mocking someone for being quiet or shy, you're not only a narcissist, you're a jerk. Um, Guilted into participating in social gatherings. And we won't touch on that other one. Blaming yourself for being awkward or different. It's not really what I was trying to illustrate. Where is it? Here it is. So again, we're not judging extroverts because again, hey, be yourself. If you're extroverted, you're extroverted. But I do want to point out this part right here. Extroverts despise alone time. They avoid self-reflection and constantly seek social contact for distraction and recharging. So when I read that part, I thought to myself, they despise alone time. Could that be because they're empty seaters? And if you don't know what an empty seater is, check out my other channel, A Deeper PTE, where I covered this topic in depth. But basically, empty seaters are people who say that they essentially don't have any internal thoughts. So when they are alone, there's nothing. When they are by themselves, nothing is happening. They're not thinking about anything. It says it in the very next thing. They're not reflecting on anything. They're not reflecting on themselves. They're not reflecting on life. It is completely void inside of their head. So they have to constantly reach outside of themselves to feel alive, basically. So again, I'm not saying extroverts are narcissists, but these sure are a lot of traits and characteristics of narcissistic people. So I'm not saying one equals the other. I just think the correlation is kind of interesting, though. It's kind of interesting, is all I'm saying. Okay. So, with that said, was there anything else I wanted to pull out of this article? Let me see. Okay, I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to grab from this particular article. So I wanted to give a few more thoughts that aren't in the article, and then I wanted to read another one just to kind of encourage the introverts of the world and kind of make you feel better about who you are, because you have every right to be introverted. Who is society to tell you that you can't enjoy your alone time and enjoy quiet reflection? So, for anyone who's ever taken the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs assessment, which I believe has been debunked, but people still use it and still lean on it. I've taken it twice formally and once informally. And I constantly flip flop between the E and the I because neither one of them shows up very high on the chart. So, like on a scale of 0 to 100, I usually register at like a 10 when I test E and like a 10 when I test I, which means I'm like pretty much right there on the line. And I think that's very confusing to a lot of people. And in interviews lately, I've been actually just flat out telling them that. I was like, based on this interview and based on our first couple of weeks together, you're going to think I'm an incredibly extroverted person. I said, but truly, I think deep down, I'm really an introvert. I said, I can be either or. Like I can slide over into extroversion, then I slide into introversion. And I said, and I don't think people are comfortable with that shift. I don't think they like it. I don't think they understand it. They're like, well, she was so outgoing when we first met her. Now she's super quiet. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of just who I am, though. Like, and honey, the more stress that's on my shoulders, the quieter I get. And that's just how I am. So the reason I like to tell them that is because in the workplace, they are such psychopaths that they will, that's when the conversations come in of, are you happy? Are you happy here? Do you like the work? Are you upset about something? I'm like, I'm not upset about anything. Just because I'm not skinning and grinning in your face, like, does not mean I'm unhappy. You'll know when I'm unhappy. You'll know. I promise you, you'll know. But once again, you think this song is about you. You really do. So you're literally monitoring my face and assigning a mood to my face or assigning a mood to what you think I'm thinking. And I tell them that too. I'm like, please don't ever assume anything. Just ask me. I'll be very forthcoming with you. I'll be very forthcoming with you. Even if I'm unhappy, I'm gonna let you know that too. But don't make assumptions and don't start telling yourself stories because then that's when y'all start to get stupid. Now, I don't say all that. But a lot of false assumptions and false narratives start to get built off of the incorrect story that you're telling yourself about my face. I'm not looking at your face. I'm literally not looking at your face going, oh my God, is she happy? Oh my God, is she unhappy? Oh my God, what's going on? Like, people are people. I think That is one of the most toxic aspects of work today. You are expected to exude happiness, joy, and utter contentment at all times. And the minute you deviate from that, the minute you break from that, is when they want to start having conversations. And I'm like, what happened to human beings exhibiting the full spectrum of emotion and the full spectrum of expression? Like, people are going to go through all kinds of emotions, happiness, sadness, depression, joy, irritation. Yes, sometimes people are going to be aggravated, and that's okay. It's okay for people to be annoyed sometimes. Let them be annoyed. Are they still here? Are they still doing the work? Okay, then. They're having a bad day. It's almost like you're not allowed to have a bad day anymore. You're not allowed to have a bad day. Every day has to be a good day. Every day must be a good day, or else we're going to think that you're not part of the team. That's cult shit. That's how cults operate, and that's how cults are formed. Like, we're not on stage. This is not a Broadway theater play. I could get it if you're on Broadway and your role in that particular play is to be the happy character, whatever that character is supposed to be showing. That's what you're supposed to be doing because that's what the character is. That makes sense. So if you're acting all depressed and your character is supposed to be happy, well, yeah, now we need to have a conversation because you're messing the play up. This is not a stage play. This is real life. So it's like, you know what I mean? They don't, it's like they're so narcissistic and so self-absorbed that if they want the world to reflect to them a certain look and feel, if that makes sense. So they want to walk in the office and see all these smiles everywhere. Everyone needs to be smiling and happy and smiling and happy and smiling and happy because that makes them feel better. Do you understand? Versus them managing their own emotions and understanding that, hey, sometimes people are going to be happy, sometimes they're going to be sad, sometimes they're going to be mad or aggravated. And you just have to let that happen. You have to let it be. When I was a teacher, some of my students would come bouncing in the classroom, and I'm like, oh, you're happy today? And then other days they'd come in, they wouldn't even speak. And I go, oh, all right, this one's in a mood today. You think that stopped my show? No. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Today, this is what we're going to be covering. And I literally would let them sit over there and be in their mood. I didn't bother them. I didn't bug them. I didn't write them up. I didn't call their mom, their dad, the principal. They're in a mood today. Let them be moody. Human beings are moody. And I would let them sit right over there in their mood. And guess what happened more often than not, you guys? It depends on how long the class was, but let's say the class was 90 minutes. Usually, after about 30 minutes, 45 minutes would go by, maybe even an hour, they would start to come out of it. They would start to come out of whatever little funk they were in. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that I wouldn't bother them and I wouldn't let other students bother them either. So they're like, what's wrong with you, man? I'm like, leave him alone. Leave him alone. And they would. And I think just letting them be and letting them process whatever it was that they were going through in that moment gave them the space to arrive to whatever conclusion they were arriving at. And then they would come out of it. And I would usually be like, you feeling better? Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better. Okay, cool. What's up? How's your day going? What's good? Tell me what's on, what's the word on the street? They would tell me everything too. I loved it. They used to tell me everything, all the gossip, all the drama. It was fantastic. I just saw a comment I wanted to respond to. Where did it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here it is. It says, yes, I experienced this all my life. People assumed I was conceited or thought I was all that because I was always quiet and reserved. I cannot tell you how much I relate to that. Cannot tell you how often I've heard, I thought you were stuck up at first until I got to know you. And my first question and my automatic response, anytime I've heard that in the past, was, what made you think I was stuck up? And they can never answer the question, ever. They were like, I don't know. I just thought you were stuck up. And it's just like, well, what did I do? What did I do? What did I say? You know what I mean? Like, what made you come to that conclusion? They can never answer the question, but I think I've answered it for them. Is simply because I'll walk in, I'll speak, I'm very polite. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how's everybody doing today? Awesome, great. Take my seat and then mind my business. And I think because of that, they think, "Oh, she must think she too good to hang out with us, or she too good to talk to us, or she's too good to this or too good to that." And it's like, not really, especially if we're just meeting for the first time. Here's the other narcissistic part. Why do I have to be the one to break the ice? It's obviously you who has a problem with what's happening here. So if you're not comfortable with this little dynamic, why do I have to be the one that comes into your face to make you feel better about what's happening right now? If you want to bridge the gap with your extroverted self. Bridge the gap. And that's usually what they discover. They would usually go ahead and bridge the gap and then discover, oh, wow, she's not stuck up at all. As a matter of fact, this girl is a plumb fool. So why did I think she was stuck up? Because she just keeps to herself. She minds her business. People do not like you minding your own business, honey. They do not like you minding your own business. I just saw a Cash App come through. Thank you, Jamila. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for hitting the Cash App. I appreciate your support. Y'all been awesome. Awesome, awesome. Awesome to me. Ooh, during my break and when I come back, I appreciate it. I really do. It goes longer than y'all realize. It goes a long way, honey. Y'all have fed your girl. Sometimes y'all have helped pay rent. You just don't even know it. You kept this phone on. Y'all have helped keep this internet on. So I thank you so much. I really do. I really, really do. So, yeah, they cannot tolerate you minding your own business. They can't tolerate it, can't stand it. It irritates them, and that tells me that they don't have any business to mind. So going back to the neighbor example, I've been praying. I'm like, Lord, wherever I move to next, please let me have some neighbors that have some business and have lives of their own that they are interested in, that they want to tend to, that keeps them preoccupied. Please, God, give me some neighbors with some business of their own, to where all they can do is do a little hand wave. Hey, hey, how you doing? All right now. All right then. Good to see you. You too. All right. Keep it pushing. Push, push, push. like keep it pushing. You know what I mean? So let's see here. What do I want to do next? Let me go through a few of your comments. Then I want to read an article that I hope will make some of you feel better if you ever have actually been shamed for your introversion, which I don't think you should be ashamed of it at all. I think you should stand in it. And that doesn't mean be rude. It just means, you know what I mean? Like, just let people know, hey, this is who I am. And if they get mad about it, that tells you everything you need to know about them. Like, I would want the kind of friends that I would want ultimately would be friends who would always invite me, but just understand that sometimes she's going to say no. But her saying no doesn't mean she doesn't like us. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means, well, she's in her little introverted mode. Let her be, you know, and we'll see if she'll come out next time. Then go out and have fun. Come back and tell me all about it. And I might join next time. It's not an indictment on the person. Once again, they think the song is about them. Just because somebody tells you no doesn't mean they don't like you. And it also does not mean they don't love you. They might actually be sparing you, because there's nothing worse than when I actually force myself to do something I don't want to do. Because now I am in a bad mood because I didn't want to go, didn't want to do it, had every reason to say no, but didn't want to offend the person. So I went ahead and did it. But now I'm mad at myself, basically, for going against my gut or going against my instinct or going against what I know would have been best. You know what I mean? So I just wish people had more flexibility with each other and knew how to just let people be. Like, oh, well, she might be in a mood today. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go. And maybe she'll come out, maybe she won't, but there's always next time. And just letting it be that. You know what I mean? So, let's see here. Let's go through a few of your comments, then I'm going to read another article and then we'll get out of here. It says they absolutely. It says they need you to like, love, or hate them, and they despise indifference. Absolutely. Absolutely. They don't like that indifference. You have to feel something towards them. And that actually kind of goes into a bit of the metaphysical, which is a topic I'm going to be getting into on my other channel, A Deeper PTE. But they need you to feel something, but feeling nothing is not an option. And I can't tell you how often I feel absolutely nothing. Like it's a neutral. It's not that I don't care. It's a neutral feeling. It's neutral. Says, I believe if there are more introverted leaders, people will be able to make smarter decisions, and the extroverted followers could ground said decisions. Absolutely. And that was an addendum to a previous comment that I think has already scooted off the screen, but excellent point. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is actually part of the reason I've always shied away from pursuing leadership positions. I've pursued them in the past, but then the more I got to know leadership, the more I was like, yeah, I think I'm good, because their lives are not spent making decisions. Their lives are spent in meetings and conferences and happy hours and lunches. And basically, it's nonstop networking, is what it is. So, a lot of leaders have to be on all the time. They are not allowed to be off. They have to be on all the time. And they're also typically not allowed to be real. They have to be kind of fake all the time. And I can't be, again, this is not a stage play. And I'm not playing the role of always on, always artificial. Like, it's just not me. I'm a real person. So a lot of leaders are really, truly miserable people, but they would never let you know that, because positive must be positive at all times, must remain positive. All right. Let's keep going. Let's see here. This is Hi Earthling. Let's see. It says, I met Judy Smith at my daughter's dance recital, asked for a picture. She said no. I said, okay. I focused on my dance recital, and she seemed very bothered that I moved on so quickly. So I don't know who Judy Smith is, but it looks like she's the real life Olivia Pope. So Miss Judy wouldn't have even gotten a picture request from me. I wouldn't have known who she was. Oh, I need to brush up on my celebrities. Man, there are so many of them. I have no clue who they are. Modern day celebs too. Like, of course I know the old school Atlanta housewives like Nene and Cynthia and oh boy. Oh my god. Candy and Marlo and them. I know them, would recognize them, but honey, these new housewives, I don't know who any of them are. None of them. I'd probably look at her and go, wow, she's really pretty. Or wow, she's dressed really great. Or wow, her makeup looks great. I wonder who did her makeup. And I'm so ditzy. Like if it's the proper social setting, I would walk right up and be like, your makeup is amazing. Who did it? Is that a local makeup artist who did that? My I mm, gotta brush up. Gotta brush up on these stars. But a lot of celebrities look very different in person too, though. Far different than you would ever imagine them to look. They look very different in person, which is why I think your brain goes, did we go to school together? I recognize you. Did we go to school together or something? Let's see. It says this is exactly the battle being fought over work from home. Introverts are thriving without having to be forced in an office environment. Extroverts, and I think you meant narcs, are the only ones having anxiety and withdrawal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Introverts are 100% thriving in this work from home environment. And the extroverts and the narcissists are basically having meltdowns and collapsing because they cannot take it. They can't take it. They can't take not being in people's spaces 24/7, having people in theirs, bugging people throughout the day, bothering them, looking at people, reading their face, reading their mood, having one-on-one conversations, which I think we need to do away with the one-on-ones. I think too many careers have died in one-on-one conversations, and I mean that because it's kind of like a daily or weekly interrogation if you think about it. For those of you who watch the true crime shows, and you see them sitting in the room with like the camera off to the side and they're interrogating the suspect, it's like a daily or weekly interrogation. And eventually you're going to crack and say something that's going to get you in trouble versus us only meeting when we truly need to talk about an important issue. But you want to sit up here and talk about my feelings. Girl, you are not a therapist. But you are 100% correct. The introverts are absolutely loving work from home. And shout out to you because they are fighting tooth and nail to preserve it. Where you have a lot of companies trying to force people to come back in the office, even threatening their jobs, saying, if you don't come back, I will fire you. I think Elon Musk threatened the Tesla office workers, some of them, or all of them. I think he gave them a date to be back in the office and said, if you don't come back by this certain date, you don't have a job anymore. And I'm like, what a psychopath. Because it really makes you wonder, well, what did you hire them for? Did you hire them for the feeling of a full office? If that's the case, honey, hire actors. Just hire some actors. Go out to LA, find like 100 actors who would love to be employed and say, all you're really doing is coming to the office and playing the part of office worker. And I need you to walk around with coffee and your laptop. I need you to be smiling, laughing. I need you to be collaborating and chit-chatting. Just give the appearance that, here's your motivation. Here's your point of view. You are a millennial or Gen Z office worker in a super modern high-tech office, and it's fun and it's funky and it's fresh, and you're having a great time being there. Go. And just pay a bunch of actors to come to your office. Like, why not? Actually, the more I think about it, why not? These companies with billions of dollars, why don't y'all just hire people to come to the office and add the energy that you so desperately want? And when people ask them, what do they do? Just tell them you're in HR. Oh, I'm in HR. I'm a company ambassador. And I just walk around and, make people feel like this is a highly functional, highly productive, highly happy workspace. That's what I do. I give the illusion of a full office. Just hire a bunch of people to play the role while everyone else who's actually working works. It's kind of a good idea, actually. Fillers. Kind of like a substitute teacher. It's like a substitute office worker, except they're simply there to add to the ambiance and the mood. Why not? Because most people in the office aren't doing anything anyway. Chat says, this article is not describing extroverts, it's describing narcissists. 100%. Like if you're harassing somebody because they're quiet, something is wrong with you. And I mean that, okay? Something's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with them. There's absolutely something wrong with you if you're bothering people because they're quiet. Like, get a life. Seriously, get a life. But they can't because there's nothing going on in that head. Empty seaters. But again, we're not supposed to be judging extroverts. We're supposed to be accepting them for who they are because we want them to accept us for who we are. So, but I can't help but point out the correlation. I really can't. Absolutely. Says, I never understood why this type freaks out and feels personally offended by the presence of introverts. Me neither. It's like, the other part of that is, especially in the workplace, can you just give people some time to get to know you? Like, can you give people time to warm up to you? I've never understood that. They want you to jump in, all in, and like be super interested in them and super invested in them, and you just met them. Like people take time to get to know each other. Like you really don't have to do team building activities. The team will build itself. And nothing builds a team like knowing that, hey, I'm doing my work, you're doing yours. And if there's something I need from you work related, you provide it and vice versa. Nothing builds a team more than that. I know some of you have worked with people before where you reach out to them with a work related issue, they reach back out and they solve that issue. Don't you feel more positively towards them? Like, he or she is amazing. I love him or her. She's on it. Like, especially like, for example, payroll. You reach out to someone in payroll with an issue, they look into it, they get back to you, they solved your issue. Don't you love them now? Did you have to do some corny team building activity to feel love towards that person? No, you didn't, because they did their job, they resolved an issue for you. And to me, nothing says I care like actually doing your job. So that's what builds respect, trust, and loyalty, not, playing with popsicle sticks and building little houses and shit. That doesn't do it. That doesn't cut it. Like, it's funny, it's fun. Like, we'll get some cute pictures, but can I count on you? Can I rely on you? And can you rely on me and count on me? That's what builds relationships, not playing hangman. You know what I mean? Or tossing a little ball around, a hacky damn sack, kicking a hacky sack around the room and telling each other our innermost feelings. You are not a therapist. Like, stop. Says that's truly scary to encounter someone who doesn't have any internal thoughts. It would also be frightening if I was void of an inner voice either. I think it's scarier than we realize. They call themselves empty seaters. Like, that's scary all by itself. I feel like that could be a horror movie. It's like, so you don't think about anything when you're alone. They're like, no. So I have to either have this going or that going, TV, radio, blah, 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 blah. And it's not that if you do those things, you're an empty seater, because I listen to YouTube pretty much all day, but I'm doing other things, laundry, whatever, but I can be in silence. I've been known to take a car ride or two in silence, but in that silence, I'm actually thinking about something. Like, there's always something going on in my head, which I believe is the purpose of meditation. Apparently, with meditation, you're supposed to clear your head. You're supposed to actually like empty your head of thoughts. And that is very difficult for a lot of people. They find it very hard to meditate for that very reason, because they can't empty their head of thoughts. But there are some people who are like, what do you mean empty my head of thoughts? I never have thoughts. Mhm. Right. It says my inner thoughts never shut up. I have to consciously slow them down sometimes. Absolutely. Imagine not having any thoughts to slow down at all, though. Imagine that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I prefer to work alone also. It says I can lead a team meeting or project, but I prefer to work alone. Me too. Like, I do my best work when I am allowed to get in the zone, like 100% in the zone, zoned out. I've been known to go into an office, like if I have access to the office and we're allowed, I've been known to go into an office on a Saturday morning when I know nobody else is there and just work. And it is, oh my God, it's almost better than working from home. And the reason I say almost is because, home will always be home. But the reason I like the empty office is because everything is there. Like the printer is there, the docking station, all that stuff is there. And it's like you're focusing in the right place for the first time, if that makes sense. Like, sure, I can focus at home, but to be able to actually focus in the place I'm supposed to be focusing in, it makes such a difference. Like, it's like night and day. I can move around, walk around, go to the printer, come back, lay it all out on the table, get it sorted, get it organized. I know a lot of people like that. And every now and then other people would do the same thing. And it's so funny because it was like an unspoken rule, like do not talk to, like it was like just don't talk to the other person. If you hear them on the other side of the floor, you're not supposed to walk over there and start a conversation. It's Saturday morning. We are here. We are in the zone. Just pretend the other person isn't there. It worked beautifully. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It says, do I feel exhausted after hours with large groups? Absolutely. I typically feel exhausted before I even get there. But that's just me, though. Like, it's fun. I have fun in groups. I usually have fun once I get there, but I'm also typically trying to figure out when I can leave appropriately and not hurt anybody's feelings, unless I'm having a great time, like a great time. You know what it is? Like, I think I really enjoy being around people who are like natural comedians. And I don't know a lot of natural comedians, but when I meet a natural comedian, I can spend hours with that person because I'm laughing the whole time because they're natural comedians. No matter what they talk about, it's going to be funny, or the way they put it is going to be funny. Or people who are very good at conversation and very good at like passing the ball back and forth and asking like stimulating questions and answering them, and people who aren't afraid to explore deeper topics, people who aren't like superficial and shallow and not like scared to talk about things that are different or far out or weird, or just even just contemplate it. You don't have to accept it as true, but just to talk about it. You know what I mean? Those are the type of people I like, and they are very, very rare. Most people act terrified like a deer in headlights if you bring up something that goes against societal norms and standards. It's almost like they feel like they'll get arrested or something if they have a divergent thought. Can't stand to be around people like that. So closed off. I'm like, let me get out of here. This is not my bag. Let me get out of here. Let's see here. What else do we have? Says so much drama in the workplace. This happens to me on a regular. Like, I've even thought about trying to counter it. I said, maybe if I make myself the annoying person, then they'll avoid me. So instead of me just coming in the morning saying, good morning, hey, how you doing? And going onto my desk and sitting down and, starting my work, maybe I should be the one to go get in everybody's face in the morning. So it should take me like an hour to get to my desk because I'm 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes. And if I do that every day consistently, maybe they'll start to avoid me. Like, oh, don't go start a conversation with her. Maybe I should, a little bit of reverse psychology, but it could backfire real quick because they might like it. Oh no. It says I used to get talks because I'd close my office door. Child, it's like you feel like you're managing a bunch of little kids. Like, mommy, open the door. Mommy, why did you close the door? Like, leave me alone. I'm an adult. That's why. Because I'm an adult. I want to make a shirt that says, because I am an adult. Maybe that'll be my first piece of merch. So if you see that anywhere else, they stole it from me. Okay. I'm going to make a shirt that says, because I am an adult, and a coffee mug that says, because I am an adult. That's why I closed my office door. Like, unbelievable. Like, when did the workplace get so childish? That's when I said, or that's why I say I'm really worried about my generation, the millennials. I used to think when the millennials finally get like in charge, things will get better. I don't think that anymore. I actually think they're going to get worse and worse with Gen Z, because Gen Z doesn't really know any different. They've never seen the other side. So this is all they know. They think this is normal. So all they're going to do is take it and perpetuate it. But my generation, I'm so disappointed. They just became little miniature versions of their parents. Like little miniature versions of their parents, perpetuating bad habits, toxic work environments that didn't work for them. The environments didn't work for them either, but they perpetuate it because everyone is so afraid to just try something different and try something new. Cowards, cowardly. I hate it. I really do. Oh God, I can't. That now there's a cliche that makes me want to pull my hair out. It says an instructor at this class I took used to say, "You got to play the game. You automatically lose if you don't play. Play the game." I did a video on that actually. Got to play the game. Play the game. No, I think we're tired of game playing. You know, I think it's time for us to stop playing the game and playing games because life is not a game. Some people will argue that it is, but life is not a game. Life is real. And it's like we all are showing up to places artificial to preserve an artificial state of being artificial to preserve artificiality. And I can't tell you how sick of it I am. Like, people need to be more real. Our world would be so much better if people were even 10% more honest than they are today. Just 10%. 10% would change the world. It really would. Yeah, you gotta play the game. Oh God. In other words, they might as well be saying to you, you need to be fake and artificial if you want to make it out here. You need to be a phony, be artificial, ignore who you are, ignore the reality of you, ignore the reality, period, and be fake and phony. And I really believe that contributes to high levels of depression. And I really believe that contributes to people unaliving themselves more often than not. They just couldn't take the artificiality of it all, the fakeness. You know what I mean? Because you are a real being. No matter how fake you act, you're still real. And there's no denying it. No denying it. All right. So let me share with you one more article, then I'll do a few more comments and then we'll get out of here. Okay. Let me catch up to where everyone is. Oh, I can't wait to read all of these later on the playback. All right. So I just want to share this with you guys to make you feel a little bit better if you've been through this a lot or if you've experienced introvert shaming in one way or another in your life. Just want to run down some of the benefits of being an introvert. And this was linked from that other article that we just read. All right. So let's take a look. The surprising benefits of being an introvert says there are a lot of misconceptions about introverts, like that they're being antisocial, unfriendly, shy, or lonely. Oh, I forgot to touch on that. They love to assume that we're lonely. And I think they cannot wrap their minds around the fact that, at least for me, speaking personally for myself, I'm the furthest thing from lonely. If I'm lonely for anything, I'm lonely for real people, people who keep it real, honest people, lonely for like authentic human beings, not company, because anyone can keep you company. If I'm lonely for anything, it would be lonely for real people, like people who don't need, people who you really don't have to set boundaries with because they have enough common sense to not cross like the most basic of boundaries. You know what I mean? People you don't have to basically like sit down and be like, okay, look, please don't do this to me. Please don't do that. Please, you don't have to do all that because they got common sense. So if I'm lonely for anything, it's for people that have common damn sense. That's what I would be lonely for. But other than that, furthest thing from lonely. But they cannot process it. They have to have someone else there with them or a group of people there with them to feel okay. And again, we're trying not to judge that. If that's what they need, that's what they need. But don't judge me for not needing the same thing. You understand? Anyway, it says, but in many cases, being an introvert can actually be an asset. Introverts are people who get their energy from spending time alone. According to Dr. Jennifer Kahnweiler, author of The Introverted Leader, Building on Your Quiet Strength. It's kind of like a battery they recharge, she says. And then they can go out into the world and connect really beautifully with people. A 2008 study published in the Journal of Motor Behavior found that introverts take a longer time to process information than extroverts. Conweiler says this is actually because they process more thoughtfully than extroverts do. They take extra time to understand ideas before moving on to new ones. While we're all often flooded with messages that we need to speak up and stand out in order to be successful, introverts can actually achieve even more if they hone their natural strengths. It's not about becoming a fake extrovert, Bulow says. It's really about acknowledging the valuable traits that introverts bring. And so here are some of the benefits of being an introvert. They're good listeners. Introverts are naturally adept when it comes to actively listening, according to Bulow, who identifies as an introvert herself. We tend to be the friend or colleague you can call on when you're upset or you have good news to share, she says. We're going to be able to listen and be with you in that without turning it around and making it about us. That sounds familiar. Extroverted people are more inclined to jump into a conversation before fully processing what the other person has said. Not because they're selfish or don't care, but because they process information interactively, says Dr. Lori Heglow. Conversely, introverts process information internally. That skill allows them to hear, understand, and provide carefully considered insight when they do respond. The next benefit, they think before they speak. Because introverts typically feel less comfortable speaking than they do listening, they choose their words wisely. We only speak when we have something to say, so there is a higher chance that we will have an impact with our words, she says. That being said, introverts may take a little too long to formulate their thoughts before sharing them, especially in fast paced business settings. To combat that tendency, Bulow suggests that introverts should go into meetings prepared to speak first, before there's time to talk themselves out of it. Break your own ice, she says, advising introverts to share a piece of data or an opening remark for the top of the meeting. Establish your presence early on before the conversation gets thicker and more competitive. Let me pause really quick here. Like, this is what I mean by not having to, this is what I mean by wanting to be around people you don't have to like do this kind of stuff with. I don't want to be around people where the conversation is getting so competitive that you can't get a word in edgewise. I want to be around people with common sense to be like, hold up, we haven't heard from everybody yet. Did you have something to add, PTE? You know what I mean? People who have the sense to be like, we're in this meeting together for a reason, right? So let's make sure we hear from everyone. What did you want to add? Okay, and you? All right. And did you have anything you wanted to add to make sure they're hearing for everyone? It's been my experience though, they never do that. They have no problem listening to themselves talk or just talking to each other. Like I've sat and watched two people talk to each other in a meeting of 10 people. And the rest of us are just sitting there like, why are we here? If this was about you two, why didn't you two meet? Why did you call us all here? For what? But it's like a lack of common sense. But really, what it is rudeness. You're rude as hell. So, you know what I mean? Like, who wants to compete with rude people? But anyway, I'm digressing. Let me keep reading. The skill of choosing your words wisely is just as beneficial online as it is in person. Introverts are more effective on social media because they're less prone to knee jerk reactions than extroverts. You're not making extroverts sound really good. You're saying extroverts are not good listeners. You're saying they don't think before they speak. They make conversations competitive. They engage in knee jerk reactions. Sounds pretty familiar. Sounds like somebody we know, not somebody, but it sounds like an entity we've been discussing for what, 6 years now? But we're not judging. Let's remember that. It says, some people are just throwing thoughts everywhere, randomly posting everything. Not introverts, she says. There's a strategy that they take. They're observant. In addition to their superior listening skills, Introverts possess what Bulow considers a superpower, their observation skills. We notice things others might not notice because they're talking and processing out loud. They're running their mouth, basically. Although it may look like they're just sitting quietly during a meeting, introverts are actually soaking in the information that's being presented and thinking critically. So remember the comment that we spoke about earlier, where someone said if more leaders were introverted, basically better decisions would be made, and the extroverts would be there to kind of ground those decisions. That person was absolutely correct. Like, because an introvert is not just sitting there running their mouth, not taking anything in. They're taking it all in and actually thinking about what's being said. The typical introvert also uses his or her observant nature to read the room. They're more likely to notice people's body language and facial expressions, which makes them better at interpersonal communication. Introverts are especially skilled at noticing introvert qualities in others. They can tell when a person is thinking, processing, and observing, and then give them the space to do so. Which makes people feel much more comfortable. They allow time to really connect with people. Chat says, Amen, making everyone feel equal and included. Love and unity, growing and learning together. Absolutely. Like you shouldn't have to be told that. And you as an introvert shouldn't have to fight for that. Like, okay, I'm going to jump in. Let me jump in. Let me just, let me elbow in. Hey, I wanted to speak. I wanted to speak. And then they're like talking over you, talking over the top of you. Like you're a psychopath. I feel like you're a psychopath if that's what you do. People have to fight to speak when you're in the room. You're a psychopath. And we probably need to check your basement to see who's locked up down there because something's wrong. You're a human being. You're an adult. You've got to know that that's not okay. You got to know. But nope, they just pretend like it's normal. And they're like, well, I'm just extroverted. No, you're rude. You're rude is what you are. They make quality friends. Since introverts can feel their energy being drained. Wait, let me start over. Since introverts can feel their energy being drained by being around other people, as opposed to extroverts who gain energy from being with others, introverts choose their friends wisely. They would rather have a few close, trusted friendships to invest their time and energy in, as opposed to a large network of acquaintances. Let me tell you something. Like when I'm lurking on Facebook, right? I know some people, there's not very many of them like this, but there's at least two people that come to mind immediately who I believe they have no less than 100 friends. And the reason I say 100 is because literally every day, every week, they're, you know how people will be like, happy birthday to this person, we need to hang out again. It was great last time we saw each other, or, you can tell they know each other, right? And I think that's beautiful. Listen, I think people who have lots of friends that are valuable friendships, I think that's a beautiful thing. But the only thing I ever think to myself is, how do you have the time? How do you have the time to maintain and manage all these friendships and manage your marriage and manage your kids and manage your job and manage like your volunteer work that you do on the side of all of that? Like, how? That's all I really want to know is how, like, how do you go to all these birthday parties and kids parties and shower this, shower that? Like, how? Because maybe it's something I'm doing wrong because there's only 24 hours in a day. So how in the world are they maintaining all of these friendships? Chat says there is slack somewhere. There's got to be. Something has to be getting left out because I just don't understand how in God's name they can do it. Like, I think that's a superpower. If you really have that many friends and they're high quality relationships, how did you pull that off? Anyway, it says introverts are pretty picky about who we bring into our lives. It requires some energy. And if you do come into our inner circle, that means a lot. Yes, it does. This quality causes introverts to be loyal, attentive, and committed friends, says Bulow. It says they make loving romantic partners. Introverts crave personal space to reflect and refuel. And they can sense when their partners need space too. Because we have this need for our own privacy, we give that to others as well. We won't be super clingy or high maintenance in relationships. Again, to me, he can live next door, honey. Live next door. Why don't we buy a townhouse duplex? We'll get married, we'll do the wedding, we'll do the thing, and then we'll buy a his and her townhouse complex or a townhouse building where they have two townhouses or three. Why don't we buy all three townhouses? I'll live on one end, you live on the other, and the middle townhouse is like our family house where we meet, we have dinner, we have people over, it'll be great. Then when we have kids, once they get old enough, we can give the middle house to the kids. It'll be perfect. It's a family compound. Do you understand? And the kids will grow up knowing that's mommy's side of the compound, that's daddy's side of the compound, and the middle part is the family compound. I can't picture anything more ideal. So when he needs to be loud, messy, wants to leave shoes all over the place, wants to throw his clothes all over the place, he's in his house doing that. Fantastic. And I'm over in mine being clean. You understand? He wants to watch the game on a Sunday with the boys. Watch the game on a Sunday with the boys. Have them all over in your compound, on your side of the compound. And I'll be on my side doing whatever, probably taking a nap, to be honest with you. And y'all can be over there just as loud as you want, do whatever you want. And I will not bother you. I won't bother you. I might even bring you some wings. See what a good wife I am? You watching football on Super Bowl Sunday? I'll make you some wings on my side of the compound and walk them over to you. Wave hey to the boys. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Bye. Deuces. And I'm gone. I'm back on my side. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm just thinking out loud. It says, and the same qualities that make introverts great listeners also make them great partners. At the end of a long day, they're there to listen and support their partner without feeling compelled to talk about themselves. Introverts also like to get to know someone before sharing intimate details with the prospective partner, and it can make them appear more appealing in the early stages of relationships. There can be something attractive about the mystery factor of introverts. They can inspire curiosity and wanting to know the person better. So I think this also kind of goes back to this list that we were looking at. He could have added that down here too. People may feel intrigued by you. They're intrigued because you're kind of a mystery. You know what I mean? You don't throw all your cards on the table like the very first day you meet somebody. Like there's still tons of cards left and they just want to know what those cards are. Y'all, let me tell you, let me speak on that. So the way that the houses are laid out, y'all know I'm renting a house. The way they're laid out, it's like one massive backyard. I can't really explain it, but there's no fences up. And boy, do I wish there were. But anyway, I have watched people gradually over the couple years that I've lived here. It's like curiosity just takes hold of them and they just have to see what's going on back here. They just have to. And they just find themselves walking along, I'll just call it like a little passageway. And then they pretend they're looking out over this like wooded area is the best way I can describe it. But I know all they're trying to see is the back of the house. They just want to see what's going on back here, honey. They can't help it. Like they just feel compelled. Like, I gotta go. I gotta see what's going on back there. And it's like, first of all, stay out of my yard. I do believe in the Second Amendment. Okay, so let's just stay out of my yard. Just because there's no fence here does not mean this is public property. This is not public property, okay? Stay out of my yard with your nosy self. They can't help it. They just want to see. And the thing that strikes me as odd about it is I'm not trying to see your backyard. I don't give a damn what's going on back behind your house. But you can see them getting the courage up to do it, like little by little. And then one day it's just like, they're just like, F it, man, I'm just going back here. And they do. And you get caught on my camera. And I would like you to stay out of my yard because I do believe in the Second Amendment, okay? Like, Do I come to your backyard? Do you see me compelled to walk through your backyard? No, I'm not interested. But they can't help it, y'all. It's like they just have to know. So this article is kind of confirming that it's like an intrigue issue. Like, what she got going on back there? I gotta see. I'm gonna give you something to see. You'll never forget it. Okay, stay out of my yard. All right. So anyway, it says that can inspire curiosity and wanting to know the person better. It says they're thoughtful networkers. Being in a large group where the goal is to meet, talk, and make a good first impression can be overwhelming for many, especially for introverts. But Bulow says they can use their natural strengths to create meaningful connections. Extroverts may approach networking events with the goal of talking to as many people as possible, but often those quick conversations don't leave lasting impacts. But Bulow says the strength in networking is not necessarily in numbers. Introverts, she says, should focus on learning about the people they meet, even if they only connect with a handful of people. I try to make meaningful connections with a couple of people that I can follow up with in some way. After an event, she'll send links to articles or speeches that made her think of the person she spoke to. This type of active listening and follow up can be a lot more beneficial than simply handing out 50 business cards. Okay. So, next, it says they're compassionate leaders. So, shout out to the person who made that comment earlier. Helgo says introverts can make the best leaders when they channel their natural strengths. For starters, they don't feel the need to step into the spotlight and take all of the credit for group successes. Y'all are not making extroverts sound good, okay? You're not making them sound very good. It says rather, they are likely to highlight the strengths of their teams. An extroverted leader may be noticeable, but you may see the leader before you see the team. And employees who feel recognized tend to be more motivated, she says. And since introverts process information more slowly and thoughtfully than their extroverted counterparts, introverted leaders tend to learn more about their subordinates. They have focused conversations with their team members in order to learn their skills, passions, and strengths. Once they gather all of this information, they can use what they've learned to help each team member be more efficient and happier at work. People will talk about their favorite managers and they will say that they were there, that they were with me. Even if they were, even if there were more pressing things, I felt like I had their attention, I had their ear. Okay. So those are some of the positive traits of introverts. Not painting the prettiest picture for extroverts if you just do a opposites kind of thing. But I mean, it is what it is. Again, I'm not trying to encourage you to judge or discriminate against extroverted people. I'm just reading what's on the article, okay? And you can kind of draw your own conclusions. There is a little insufferable in here and it has made its rounds and I'm about to vacuum it up. Hold please. Let me take care of this. 1 second. And he runs behind the bookcase. Okay. All right. You'll be back. It has literally lapped my whole living room, but he's little, which is why I didn't scream. But now he's getting too excited. You see what I'm saying? You see how they have to come closer and closer? See, I wasn't going to bother you until my show was over. But now you're getting too comfortable. You're getting too close. Okay. I'm going to vacuum you. Let me get my vacuum. Hold on. So when you show up, when I see you again, that's it. That's it for you. You're done. Let me get my little tube. I'm ready for you. Pop back up again. Pop up again. And you're going right in this vacuum cleaner. Okay? So we ready. We ready for him. Boom. All right. So those are the benefits of being an introvert. But no matter how you identify, introverted or extroverted, I think the most important thing and the most important takeaway is that you have to let people be. You have to let people be themselves. Be they introverted or extroverted, let them be. If you are an extrovert, don't try to force introverts to be you. If you are an introvert, don't try to force extroverts to be you. I think we all have to find a way to respect each other for who we are and how we show up. As long as you're not being rude, narcissistic, arrogant, or a jerk, you know what I mean? Or harmful in some way. As long as you're not harming others, let people be. Let people experience the full range of their humanity, from quietness to talk. There you go. There you go. Watch your ears. Plug your ears. Plug your ears. I told you. Look, I warned you. Did I not warn him? I warned him. I said you better get away. Did I not warn him? I warned him. Did I not? I said, stay away from me. Now, you done made your little rounds. I didn't bother you because it was kind of small. So, you know what I'm saying? You need to chill. What does he do? Not chill. Okay? So I'm sorry if that hurt your ears. I hope it wasn't too loud in your ears. I just didn't have time to mute. Okay? A spider. Always. An insufferable little spider. Like the size of a dime. He was like dime size. If it had been quarter size, I would have screamed and I would have stopped the show. But I was trying to let him be. You see what I'm saying? Like, what a perfect illustration. Look, I was trying to let you be. I wasn't going to bother you until the end of the show. And I was going to take care of you with my vacuum, but he just kept running around, just kept lapping, kept coming closer and closer. Okay, keep coming closer. Boom. Now you're done. No, they can't. It says, can they crawl out of the vacuum? No, sir. Nope. No, it would be very challenging for him to do. It would be very hard. But I'm going to vacuum up some more, so make sure it doesn't happen. But anyway, you're here for the scream. See, you want to hear me scream. I will scream. All right. But I think the most important takeaway, yes, there's always consequences. I warned you. Stay away from me. Get away from me. You could have been free. Now you're in a vacuum cleaner. I think we need to learn to let people be. But in particular, since this topic is introvert shaming, I think the extroverts of the world have to accept that everybody is not you, and you cannot expect everyone to be you. And for you to make people feel bad for who they are and how they naturally show up kind of sort of makes you a terrible person. And you need to ask yourself, why do I feel so uncomfortable with people just being quiet or people not paying me any attention or not studying me, as we were saying earlier? You know, why do I feel the need for constant validation and approval and acceptance? Why do I feel like people have to sweat me to feel comfortable and normal in my own skin? Like, you might need to see a therapist. I do still have a relationship with BetterHelp, betterhelp.com slash, is it PTE? I think it's betterhelp.com slash permission to exist. Let me see. BetterHelp.com. I haven't promoted them in so long. I need to get it back on. I'm so bad at promo. God, I'm bad at promo. Oh yeah, the link still works, honey. If you're an extrovert and you are struggling with those thoughts and ideas, reach out to BetterHelp and see if you can connect yourself with a therapist. BetterHelp.com slash permission to exist. I think they're giving 10% off. And see if you can connect with a therapist to help you work through those ideas. Because you have trouble letting people be. You have trouble letting people exist. You don't grant people permission to exist. As a matter of fact, you try to revoke it. You try to revoke their permission to exist. Don't do that. You're making everyone else's life miserable. Okay? So, and I wanted to close on this final note, and that is a message to employers, business owners, managers, supervisors, people in HR, anyone listening who might be in those roles. I want you to be the leader in encouraging your teams or even yourself to focus on people's job performance and not their personality. People have a right to their personality as long as their personality is not toxic as hell. They're not out here insulting people, being rude, being mean, being nasty. That's an entirely different thing. But if someone is simply quiet and you take it upon yourself to interpret that quietness as them not being engaged or not being invested or not liking the job or not liking you or not liking their team, They don't have to like you. They don't have to like their team. They don't even have to like their manager. Are they doing the job they were hired for? That's the only thing you should be worried about. Are they performing in their role? If they're not doing what you pay them to do, that's a different discussion. But just because they're not this fake, artificial, almost artificial intelligence bot showing up to your workplace every day does not mean that they're bad employees or bad workers. What did you hire them to do? Are they there to be happy people? Or are they there to perform a certain function in your organization? I really want you to challenge yourself to focus on the function. What are they there to actually do for you? And are they doing it? And if they are, I would highly encourage you to leave them alone. Leave them alone. Let them be. And I promise you, over time, if not right away, you will get the absolute best behavior out of them because you're allowing them to be themselves. Like I would live for a manager or a supervisor, or really, I would live to not have a manager or supervisor. To be honest with you, really don't need to be supervised. I'm not a child. But if I have to have a boss, manager, leader, something like that, I'll know that I found the one when I hear my boss say something like, PTE, what are you going to do this weekend? Take a nap? Say, you know it. Or for them to say something like, hey, PTE, we're going to happy hour. I know it's probably getting close to your nap time. So we know you probably won't come, but we just want you to know the door is open and you're totally welcome. If you want to come join us, even if it's like an hour or 2 or 3 from now, we'll be there. And if you don't come, no worries. I'll see you Monday, and really mean it and truly mean it. Like, hey, we're going to happy hour. You're more than invited, but I know you need your nap, girl. So, if you want to go home and take a nap and come join us, feel free. But if not, I'll see you Monday, and mean it, and have our relationship not be damaged as a result. Have our relationship not be impacted by that. Or for me to like show up to the happy hour, then after an hour, my boss look at me and be like, you ready to go, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. And they be like, see you Monday. And it's not, and nobody's hurt, nobody's offended, nobody thinks I don't want to be part of the team. They just know me. Like, she can only do about 1 hour of this and she's out. But she's committed to the work, she's committed to the team. She can just only do about 1 hour of this, and then she wants to leave. And have there be nothing wrong with that. You see what I mean? So that's when I'll know that I found the one. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here. So that's when I'll know that I found the one, y'all. When they can just go, you need a nap, don't you? Yeah. Or you ready to go, ain't you? Yeah. and it not turn into a conversation on Monday. Conversation. We need to have a conversation. F your conversations. Leave people alone. All right. And with that, I was going to go through comments again, but I've actually kind of talked myself a little tired, and I've talked myself a little bit hungry. So I'm going to see what I can scare up to eat. And then I'm probably going to go to sleep. So I appreciate every single one of you being here. Thank you to everyone who threw a super chat, super sticker, or cash app, something like that. Thank you so much. It goes a long way. Thank you to everyone who liked the video, and shout out to the replay squad who will be listening once the show has concluded. The live chat should show up relatively quickly, so just be on the lookout for it. And we'll talk again very soon. I don't know where I will surface, but I will surface somewhere, either on this channel, A Deeper PTE, maybe Pettynomics, and maybe even over on Odyssey. Who knows? But I'll see you guys again very soon. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.